Address Resolution Protocol. Address Resolution Protocol, also known as ARP, is a TCP/IP network layer protocol, responsible for resolving IP addresses into MAC addresses. ARP is defined in Request for Comments number 826. When a TCP/IP-aware application tries to access another TCP/IP host using its IP address, the destination host's IP address must first be resolved into a MAC address so that the frame can be addressed and placed on the wire, and then be recognized by the destination host's network interface card. This is because network interface cards operate at the physical layer and data link layer of the OSI model and must use physical addresses, such as MAC addresses, instead of logical addresses, such as IP addresses, for network communication. Packet Structure. The Address Resolution Protocol uses a simple message format containing one address resolution request or response. The size of the ARP message depends on the link layer and network layer address sizes. The message header specifies the types of network in use at each layer, as well as the size of addresses of each. The message header is completed with the operation code for request and reply. The payload of the packet consists of 4 addresses: the hardware and protocol address of the sender and receiver hosts. The principal packet structure of ARP packets is shown in this table, which illustrates the case of IPv4 networks running on Ethernet. In this scenario, the packet has 48-bit fields for the sender hardware address and target hardware address, and 32-bit fields for the corresponding sender and target protocol addresses. The ARP packet size, in this case, is 28 bytes. Hardware type, H-type. This field specifies the network link protocol type. For example, Ethernet is 1. Protocol type, P-type. This field specifies the internetwork protocol for which the ARP request is intended. For IPv4, this has the value hex 0800. The permitted P-type values share a numbering space with those for Ether-type. Hardware length, H-len. Length in octets of a hardware address. Ethernet address length is 6. Protocol length, P-len. Length in octets of internetwork addresses. The internetwork protocol is specified in P-type. Example, IPv4 address length is 4. Operation specifies the operation that the sender is performing. 1 for request, 2 for reply. Sender hardware address. SHA. Media address of the sender. In an ARP request, this field is used to indicate the address of the host sending the request. In an ARP reply, this field is used to indicate the address of the host that the request was looking for. Sender protocol address. SPA. Internetwork address of the sender. Target hardware address. Media address of the intended receiver. In an ARP request, this field is ignored. In an ARP reply, this field is used to indicate the address of the host that originated the ARP request. Target protocol address. Internetwork address of the intended receiver. ARP Command. ARP Command is a TCP/IP utility in Windows command for viewing and modifying the local address resolution protocol cache, which contains recently resolved MAC addresses of Internet Protocol hosts on the network. When one host on a TCP/IP network wants to communicate with a second host, the first host begins by using the ARP to resolve the IP address of the second host into its associated MAC address. The MAC address is needed for communication to take place over the network. Type ARP at the command prompt to see all available options. Typing ARP-A displays the MAC addresses of recently resolved IP addresses. If one of these entries is static, that means the Internet Protocol to MAC address mapping has been manually added to the ARP cache using ARP-S. To add a static entry, type ARP-S, then the IP address, then the MAC address and enter. And that's it. One reason you may want to add static ARP entries is if you have two hosts that communicate with each other constantly throughout the day. By adding static ARP entries for both systems in each other's ARP cache, you reduce some network overhead in the form of ARP requests and ARP replies. To delete an entry, static or dynamic, type ARP-D, then the IP address. As you can see, all entries referring to the IP 192.168.0.99 has been deleted. If you want to learn more about networking concepts and definitions, don't forget to press the subscribe button. To be notified when our channel releases another video, click also on the bell icon. And don't forget to visit our website, networkencyclopedia.com.